tillage? Do we have them stop tillage immediately? No, not at all. What we try and do is how do we minimize that so we can start advancing soil health and then slowly move them over to more of a no-till situation. So this picture here, that's my father-in-law and his beloved disc. I learned to farm from my father-in-law, and he loved tillage. I remember spring of the year, he'd be out there and he'd say, now Gabe, we're going to till the soil and get it ready to plant. And I could never understand that, because then by July we were on our knees praying for rain. It just didn't make sense to me. True story, when my father-in-law retired, he had an auction sale, sold everything but one tractor, and he went and bought a new disc. And he disced for neighbors for free, just for recreation. Well, I immediately, when we took over the ranch, I went 100% no-till. That really caused a lot of tension in the family. My father-in-law thought he had the last laugh, though. When he died, guess what Dave got in the will? That is a true story. Lasted 5 days and I had it sold. Okay? Back to the matter, look at that picture. You see that soil moving around that disc? Do you understand that the thickness of one sheet of paper is the equivalent of 1 ton of topsoil per acre? How many tons of topsoil are being lost off that field just from that one tillage pass? Ray Archuleta put this slide together. This soil is naked, hungry, thirsty, and running a fever. What's protecting that soil from wind erosion, water erosion, evaporation? What's feeding those billions of microorganisms beneath the soil surface? Nothing. That's exactly right. Tillage is one of the most detrimental things you can do for your pocketbook, and for the soil, and for the next generation who's going to be on that land you're farming or ranching now. I know that's hard for a lot of people to swallow, but it's true. What caused the great Dust Bowl was organic agriculture, it was tillage. And I'm in no way standing here bashing organic agriculture. It's my hope that in the future we can all farm and ranch organically. In other words, cut back on the use of all these synthetics, herbicides, pesticides, fungicides. But we have to realize the damage we're doing with tillage. Take a look at this next photo, and I understand a lot of you have seen it, but I just have to put it in every presentation. A farmer had a forested area, 4.3% organic matter on the left. They cleared part of that forested area, tillage, monoculture soybeans for 17 years. Look at that, down to 1.6% organic matter. That's the same soil. Now you remember those 3 pets I showed you at the beginning of the presentation? You see, the thing that's hardest for me to impose on people as I travel around is we're on this slow death. We're on a slow decline of degradation. It happens very slowly, year after year. Think of my father-in-law on that disc. That little film of soil that was blown away, you keep doing that for 30 years. Where I live in central North Dakota, soil scientists tell me that pre-European settlement, in other words, pre-plow, was in the 7 to 8% organic matter range. When my wife and I bought the farm from her parents, our fields were from 1.7 to 1.9%. In other words, 75% of the carbon that was once in those soils is now in the atmosphere. So when our urban cousins start complaining and blaming farmers for climate change, we have to take part of the blame. Are we to blame for all of it? Absolutely not. Are we to blame for some of it? Absolutely. And as I travel around and am on hundreds of farms and ranches every year, I can honestly say I have never, ever, not once, stood on a farm or ranch that's not degraded, including my own. Because I haven't built soils back up to where they were historically.